RSA to be a speaker on the topic Digital Technologies and Immersive Learning Experiences. Let me introduce our speaker for a while. David graduated from the United Kingdom with a degree in electronics and electrical engineering. He used to work with IBM, HP, and the University of Kuta, Malaysia. He is Vice President of the International Society of Digital Medicine. His area of interest are wearable technologies and AI, artificial intelligence, and gamification as well. Before we start, on behalf of the Siriraj Health Science Education Excellence Center, I would like to disclaim any conflicts or benefit that might happen during the seminar. It is not our intention to support any commercial materials or programs. We focus only on the knowledge you might gain from the seminar. David, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and a privilege to be talking to you today. I'm a big fan of Thailand. I love to come here. I love to come to Asia in general. What I wanted to do before I start my presentation was to show you a little bit about myself in the form of an immersive experience. Because the message that I have for everyone today is not about the technology, but I will be talking about the technology and the impact of artificial intelligence. But the message I want to get today is, with the world the way it is today and the developments, rapid developments in artificial intelligence, we should not lose sight of our humanity, because it is human beings that are most important. And earlier on today, we went around the museum and we looked at the history of Thailand, and we saw a video. And one of the things that struck me was something that one of the Thai kings said when he sent his sons to be educated in different universities around the world. And he sent his sons not so that they would become Westerners, but they would be able to use the information and the education from Westerners to be better Thai people and to help their own people. And so I think being human being is very important. Now, I have an incentive for paying attention to my presentation. This is my book. It is not just about me, but it is about how technology has changed in my lifetime, because I've seen the most amazing changes in the world since I was born in 1949. I'm 76 years old now, and this book shows that transformation in technology from the time when I was a child, when I was born. There were no computers, no phones. Not many people had cars. My uncle was the first person to have a car in our street. And on the cover of my book, you will see a railway engine, a steam engine, which I was driving. And this steam engine used to go past my house when I was a boy. And I would stand at the window and I would wave to the engine drivers. So we have gone from the steam age to the age of the internet and virtual reality. And at the top, you'll see my avatar standing on the moon. So what I want to begin with before I start my presentation is to show you an interactive experience that I created that will tell you a little bit more about me, and also include some of my childhood and some of my history. And what I did was to take old black and white photographs, make them into color, and then animate them. So you'll see that at the beginning of the video. And then in the immersive experience, you go into my house. You see what my living room looks like, and you can go round the living room. You can look round and interact with it, and you'll see pictures on the wall, which are like Harry Potter. You know the Harry Potter films where they're animated and the photographs wave. That you'll see all of that in my house. And today, when walking round the museum, I took some more panoramic photographs. And if we have time, and if you're interested, I can show you how you can do that with your own 360-degree photographs. So there's a lot I can show you today, but the key message is it's important for us to remember that we are human beings, and AI is not a god. We shouldn't worship it in the same way as a god. So I'll start by showing this interactive experience. Okay, that's my mum and dad. This is me when I was a baby, and this is my picture animated. My mum and dad's wedding, my grandma's, and the family. My grandma and me as a baby, and of course this isn't a real video; it's just animated. My grandma and granddad, and my uncle and my granddad and me as a little boy. Here I am in the Boy Scouts waving. This was my first girlfriend on the beach, just from an old photograph. Okay, so now this is my house. This is, and you go around the room.
360 and 366. Look what I found.
And the song was written by AI. And it's about my dad finding photographs.
I knew my dad had a reel-to-reel, but I had no idea what was on it here. Put on the headset and press play. Memories 360 and 360.
So this is automatically rotating.
Vivid as day.
Take control.
Just as I remember them.
And if I click on any of the
It's my parents' wedding, just the way they described it.
So my first holiday romance with the story behind it. So I can go and I can do the same with any of the videos.
And there's my toy fire engine.
And that's the church. So I offer this as a service to people who want to preserve their memories and have them in a virtual gallery like this. So it's a way of preserving your life story so that it's available for you when you start losing your memory, but also for your family and your loved ones to be able to see and relive things as if they were there. So
And the puppy I called Davy, Grandma's hugs, I feel her arm.
So that was just a little bit about me. So you see me as a person who now old, but was a little boy and had a girlfriend in the summer. So that's a little bit about my background. So I now go into my presentation. Okay, so this is my digital twin. Okay, so this was taking a photograph of me and it made me into a pirate. I show this because I like this man better than I like myself. You know, he is handsome, he's younger than me, he's kind of interesting as a character. So I love this personality. And you'll see I have many digital twins, and you'll see how with AI, how powerful those digital twins are, much more powerful than I am as a human being. So that's my starter, if you like. And I made a video about my journey here because I had an unusual experience at London Heathrow Airport. It never happened to me before, but I went through passport, okay. I went into the security, my luggage, and then I had to stand in front of the scanner. So they have a body scanner at Heathrow, and you stand like that, and the scanner rotates. And then when I came out of the scanner, the security man was looking at the screen, and I had an exclamation
Recording in progress.
on my body, which meant that he had to search me. I don't know why it happened, but it was the first time I've ever been taken to a private room. I had to take my trousers down to show that I wasn't concealing anything. And so I decided to make a little video about the story using some of the software that I've got. So, as I said to you, these are the things I like about my digital twin. But anyone with a mobile phone, anyone with good access to the internet can be an expert in almost every topic. They can write text and make videos very persuasively. You can write music. I can show you all of this today if we have time. I speak several languages, so you'll hear me speaking Thai, and you can tell me whether that's any good. It's not me, it's my digital twin. My digital twin never sleeps. He's here today in Thailand, but he's also anywhere in Zoom. I'm all over the world. Anybody who's listening to this outside of this building, I'm there as well as being here. I'm everyone's best friend and also worst enemy. And I can create and I can destroy. That's artificial intelligence, not me personally. But my digital twin is not human. It's not me. What you're seeing is what technology enables me and empowers me to do. So this is the story of me at Heathrow Airport.
I have travelled for many years across many countries and cultures. Yet one of my most memorable journeys began before I even boarded. I arrived at London Heathrow Airport for my Malaysia Airlines flight to Kuala Lumpur. Just another long-haul trip, I thought. I had done this many times before. Passport control was straightforward and uneventful. My documents were in order, my luggage was checked, and everything seemed perfectly. I moved on to airport security.
You probably realise
Terminal
these are
was
not
busy,
real photographs.
but I quickly
They're
found a free
AI-generated
space at the scanner
photographs.
belt. I placed my suitcase, coat and rucksack into the trays and sent them into the... Then I was directed into the new body scanner. I stood on the footprints, raised my arms, and the machine slowly rotated around me. A very ordinary modern airport. But when I stepped out, a security officer asked me politely to wait. He was studying the screen rather carefully. Something, apparently, was not... He conducted a routine search and checked my clothing thoroughly. I was a little puzzled, but remained calm. I knew I was carrying nothing. They asked me to step into the scanner again. The machine rotated once more, and once more the same alert appeared on the screen. At this point, a supervisor was called. The two officers spoke quietly together and then very politely escorted me away to a private room. I had to leave all my belongings behind on the conveyor belt. Inside the room, they explained the scanner was detecting something it could not identify. To be certain, they asked me to lower my trousers slightly so they could confirm I was not concealing anything. It was, I admit, a rather undignified moment, but the officers were courteous and professional throughout. After a careful check, they found absolutely nothing wrong. The mysterious warning remained unexplained. We all shared a small laugh. I was escorted back to security, collected my belongings, and thanked them for their care. By now, the whole experience felt slightly. I walked into the duty-free area and continued to the departure gate as if nothing had happened. My journey could finally. Travel teaches patience. Technology is impressive, but not perfect. And sometimes, even at 76 years old, life still manages to surprise you at an airport.
So I will go on to the next slide, which is the version in Thai, and perhaps you will tell me what my Thai is like, whether my Thai version is any good.
ฉันเดินทางมาหลายปีข้ามหลายประเทศและวัฒนธรรมแต่การเดินทางที่น่าจดจำที่สุดครั้งหนึ่งของฉันก็เริ่มต้นก่อนที่ฉันจะขึ้นเครื่องบินเสียอีกฉันเดินทางมาที่สนามบินลอนดอนฮีทโธรเพื่อขึ้นเครื่องบินของสายการบินมาเลเซียแอร์ไลน์ไปกัวลาลัมเปอร์ก็แค่การเดินทางระยะไกลอีกครั้งฉันคิดในใจฉันเคยทำแบบนี้มาหลายครั้งแล้ว
Was that okay? Was the Thai language okay? You understood it? And also, just as another example of how you can take photographs and content and a story and represent it in different ways. So the video was made by AI. All the pictures were generated by AI, and I used the same content to make a little flip book. And so this is a little cartoon book, which was also automatically generated from the images by AI. I'm not sure whether this will work, but we'll try. Oh yes, I think it does. It does work okay. I'm not sure how we go. Oh, there we are. Yes. So when you have the application, it goes on to the next page automatically. But all of these pictures and the story was made into a cartoon book that you can show for children. This is, obviously, there are some deficiencies, but you should be able to recognize me, but it's not a very consistent character. So again, that's just a different way of using the same digital material. Okay. So the messages that I want to leave you with today when I go through my presentation, artificial intelligence has really transformed human creativity. From my point of view, it's good because I have no artistic ability whatsoever. I can't even draw pin men. So I do need all the help I can get. But it also democratizes creativity. It makes it available to everyone. Yeah, so AI democratizes creativity. It makes it available to everybody. Anyone who's got Wi-Fi or access to the internet has also got not only access to creativity, but to a global audience. So many of the things that I do on my phone. And one of the things that we did this morning, we went around the museum. I took a lot of photographs around the museum, including some photographs on my phone. And I was able to take a photograph of a statue, a man, or you might have seen him, I think he's full of tablets. He's standing there. I managed to take that photograph and get him to dance around. So I may be able to see that one later on. So it's a very, very powerful creative tool. And not only that, when you access the internet, AI knows more about you than you might imagine. So if you use the internet a lot, if you use social media a lot, all of this information is gathered. And that enables people like Facebook, LinkedIn, and people who use marketing technologies to personalize the digital content to you. So you see what AI thinks you want to see. And one of the big dangers of that is that it makes the world more polarized. So if you happen to be a political person and you like the right wing or you like the left wing, you only see information that reinforces your own beliefs and prejudices. And so that tends to make people against each other. Even in my own house, you know, I am not a political person. I like to judge a person not by what party they belong to, but what they are like as a human being. My partner, my girlfriend, she is a little bit right-wing, so she does not like our Prime Minister. So she likes the opposition Prime Minister. And so every time the Prime Minister comes on television or anybody from the Labour Party, she's shaking her fist and she's saying, oh, we're going to get rid of him, he's terrible, well, he's awful. But when she's on the phone, all the messages she gets, everything is reinforcing what she believes. So she tends to see more of the negative things about the person she doesn't like. So she doesn't get a balanced view. And that really is a serious problem. You can see what's happening in America, I'm sure, which is, you know, makes the world quite a dangerous place. So it's open to abuse and manipulation. You know, it's an extremely powerful tool. So it can be your best friend. In my case, most of the time it's my best friend. But it can also be your worst enemy. If you become addicted to it, you can rely too much on it, then, you know, it has a negative effect on you. And this is a little video I made just as an example. I run webinars for a company called the London Dermatology Centre. Last week I ran a webinar, and to promote the webinar, I did an AI-generated podcast. So the consultant that you see on the screen, Neil Aguera, he's being interviewed by the boss of the London Dermatology Centre, and neither of them spoke a word. It was the conversation and the podcast was completely generated by AI. And so this is the video to promote it.
You know, we often hear that first impressions count. But what if I told you that your body is speaking volumes about you even before you utter a single word? My guest today is going to blow your mind with the science behind this. We're talking about Dr. Neil Aguera, an incredible clinician from the London Dermatology Centre, who also holds an MSc in sports medicine. Neil, it's fantastic to chat to you.
Thanks, David. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to delve into this topic because honestly, it impacts every single one of us, whether we realize it or not.
And that's the hook, isn't it? Our posture. The webinar you're about to present, Beauty in Alignment, the science of a healthy spine and a radiant you, suggests that our posture does so much more than just make us look taller. You mentioned that in just 1/10 of a second, our body alignment signals our health, age and confidence. How can something so subtle have such a profound and immediate impact?
So those voices were cloned voices. So neither he nor I spoke any of those words. So I also use the technology, trying to be imaginative, to create a series of podcasts, which I called Hearts and Minds, the Immortal Conversations. So if you can imagine it, I had in the same room, I had William Shakespeare, and I had Jilly Cooper, and I interviewed them in the podcast. So these people are dead, but I wanted to find out what they might think about the way the world is today and how that affects love and romance. So I made this imaginary podcast, and artificial intelligence, on the basis of all the information that it had about William Shakespeare and the other people in the panel, it made their conversations and responses. So I always make this disclaimer to make sure people know. Obviously, they realise William Shakespeare's dead, hopefully, but it makes sure people know that this is not anything that anyone's actually really said, but it's to use your imagination and think about what they might think about what the world is today. This is just an extract.
Welcome everyone to Hearts and Minds, our special panel discussion where we delve into the timeless, often tumultuous, and endlessly fascinating world of love, romance, fidelity, and sex. These are concepts that have shaped human experience since the dawn of time, evolving and yet, in many ways, remaining profoundly the same. Today we have an incredible panel to help us navigate these intricate terrains. First we have William, who's going to transport us back to the Elizabethan era, examining love through the lens of Shakespeare. Then we'll hear from Lawrence, who'll give us his insights on the intense, often raw depictions of love and sexuality found in the works of D.H. Lawrence. And finally Gilly, who brings a truly unique perspective, exploring modern aristocratic love and relationships, particularly within the horse riding community. Welcome all.
Thank you, David. It's a pleasure to be here. When we talk about love and Shakespeare, the immediate image for many, of course, is Romeo and Juliet. And what an introduction to the topic, isn't it? It's this explosive, passionate, almost irrational love that defies family, societal norms, and ultimately life itself. But what I find truly compelling about Romeo and Juliet isn't just the passion, it's the intense fidelity they pledge to each other, despite knowing each other for such a short time. It's an all-consuming, singular devotion. It begs the question, is that what true love is, this immediate, unwavering, and utterly destructive bond?
So that was actually my voice talking posh English. So I cloned my voice and put on an English accent, very posh accent, to be William Shakespeare. But I use other voices that are library of cloned voices to represent D.H. Lawrence and Jilly Cooper. And this is actually on the internet. This next one. Oh, yes. This next one is, if you've ever been to a Turkish barber, I don't know whether you have Turkish barbers in Thailand, but when you go for a haircut with a Turkish barber, when you get to be my age, you get hair growing everywhere except where you don't want it. So you get it in your ears, you get it in your nose. So the Turkish barber, to get the hair out your nose, they have glue on sticks, and they light it and they stick it up your nose. And so it sticks to the hairs, and then they pull them out. It's really painful. So I asked the barber to take a picture of me to make a little humorous video, imagining that this was a musical instrument, and I was playing God Save the King on this instrument. So that's what it is. I'll just play you a little bit of it. So obviously that's not a real video. That's an AI generated video from my photograph. The that is me. I recorded that myself because I couldn't find anything representing God Save the King to as a song. So this is another example. It's an AI generated video. So the photograph isn't real, or it could have been a real photograph, but I described what I wanted, and what I was trying to show is like the start of a horror movie, where everything is nice and warm and relaxing. It's Christmas, and then something bad happens, and you get all the lights go out and lightning strikes, because I wanted to make a kind of horror movie about Christmas. But so this is just to be a little background animation. So it's just a little short clip, but it just shows you what AI can do. And this is another example of voice cloning that I use with the head of the London Dermatology Centre when I do their masterclass series. And so to promote this open evening at the London Dermatology Centre on March the 4th, I made this podcast with Dr. Sunil Chopra, who is the boss of the. Now, all I needed to do was to tell him that I was going to use his voice, and I let him watch this before he gave approval for me to use it. But neither of us spoke a single word. Neither of us wrote any of this. But this is an example of what AI can generate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. We've got a fantastic interview lined up today, especially for our listeners in the primary care community. It's no secret that GPs are often the first port of call for such a vast array of patient concerns, and sometimes navigating those specialist waters can feel like a real challenge. That's why I'm incredibly excited to be joined today by Dr. Sunil Chopra from the London Dermatology Centre. Dr. Chopra, thank you so much for making the time.
David, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to chatting about what we've got coming up, especially with your audience of primary care doctors.
Yeah, so that event is in a couple of weeks' time, and as I say, Dr. Chopra approved the use of his cloned voice to do these things. So I never clone anybody's voice without their knowledge, and I never do anything without their permission. So they're happy to do that. This is another example of a flip book. I think this one is a video, and the flip book is based on a play which is about to be performed by a little amateur drama group near where I live, and the play is called Humble Boy. So all I did was to give a few details about the story to AI, and it made this flip book about the play, and so it actually turns them into cartoon characters. Let's see what we do. Yes, it is a little video. So this is what you can access over the internet, and if you wanted, for people wanting to promote the production, they can turn the story into a flip book, so people have an idea of what to expect when they come to the theatre.
Felix Humble returned to his family home in the peaceful English countryside, his heart heavy with the news of his father, James Humble, passing away. He was surprised to find his mother, Flora Humble, had cleared away all of his father's belongings, even his beloved bees. Their reunion was not warm,
old arguments resurfaced as Flora blamed Felix for his behavior at James' funeral. Flora was upset that Felix had run away during his turn to speak at.
So that was just an extract of the flip book that I made for the drama group. And one of the cast is this lady that you see on the screen now. So at rehearsals, I take my phone along and take some pictures because the director wanted to use some photographs to promote the play, which is set in an English garden. And where we rehearse is, well, it's a gymnasium, basically. It's in a gymnasium. So she wanted to show what the play was about, but to make it look as if this lady is in an English garden. So I got AI to generate the picture, complete with a hive, a bee's hive. And so I took this still picture and I animated and added some bees flying over, and this is the result. Okay, so that was, and now this is an example of voice cloning. I am passionate about global warming and what's happening with our planet. And one of my friends is the president of the International Symposium for Digital Earth, which is about climate change. It was set up by the Chinese just before the turn of the century, and it was originated by Al Gore, the American vice president, because he wanted children in the future to be able to see a digital representation of the Earth and what was happening in climate change, so ocean temperatures, pollution, and so he set up this digital Earth, and so every 2 years they have a symposium, and then they have a conference in alternative years. Now the president at the time, Alessandro Annoni, is an Italian guy, and with his permission, I recorded him giving a little talk about climate change, and this is actually one of his slides, and I wanted to demonstrate that I could take his voice and his Italian and clone it into different languages. So he's speaking these different languages and he didn't have to do anything other than to record his voice in English. So here he is presenting in several different languages with subtitles.
In 1992, US Vice President Al Gore wrote the book Earth in the Balance, and the key message was that people should be informed about the dangers of pollution. Nel 1992, Al Gore, vicepresidente degli USA, scrisse Earth in the Balance. Il messaggio chiave era che la popolazione deve essere informata sui pericoli dell'inquinamento, del riscaldamento. 2002年，美国副总统阿尔戈尔写了一本书《地球在平衡中》。主要观点是人们应该理解污染、全球变暖和其他地。V roce 1992 napsal americký viceprezident Al Gore knihu Země v rovnováze a klíčovým poselstvím bylo, že lidé by měli být informováni o nebezpečích znečištění globální. У 1992 році віце-президент США Ал Гор написав книгу «Земля в рівновазі». Він запропонував глобальний план Маршалла.
So several different languages, Chinese. He didn't speak any of, well, he speaks English and he speaks Italian, but he doesn't speak Bulgarian or Chinese or Russian. So AI helped him to do that. Now, this is another flight of fancy, because you possibly know of Elon Musk, a guy behind the space missions and AI generation. Well, he believes that one day they will have tourist trips to Mars. So I wanted to show what a tourist video might look like selling a holiday in Mars. So I created this video to sell the idea of a holiday in Mars, not just in English, but also in an imaginary Martian language with English subtitles. So this is what it is.
Greetings, travelers. Welcome to Mars. Discover breathtaking wonders like Olympus Mons and Valles Marineris, sights to inspire your imagination. Glide in luxurious hoverpods, explore towering domes, and experience the thrill of Martian hospitality. On Mars, the adventure never ends, from skywalking to crater diving. Don't miss your chance to enjoy an unforgettable journey among the stars. Zorvith Clano. Farvix Marsal Pu Trelix. Crison Valexa, Frix Mons Ka Valeth Marine Ros, Glorvith sites to Lorvith Mines. Zix Zorthan Lux Hoverpods, Skaz Doma Spires, Ka Tarvik Kralix Domion Shrina. Oltith Marsal, Zoltith Cruzal, Zineth Skloka Thralith. Vos Sorelix Stradava Zarnix Treslan Burvushonix.
So, and again, AI generated the Martian language and also created the voice. I speak at a lot of places around the world, and I spoke in 2023 in Japan about aging independently, because that's one of the other things I'm passionate about is healthy, active aging. So I'm a practitioner of lifestyle medicine. I walk 5 miles every day, and I have done for the last 11 years, starting to see if I could, first of all, lose weight, and secondly, keep myself healthy. So I went to Japan to make this presentation about the future of digital medicine and aging, but because most of the audience were Japanese, I don't speak Japanese, I wanted to create my own Japanese speaking avatar to do the presentation for me. So I stood at the lectern and I played this video. This is just an extract of the video with my avatar or my avatar assistant giving my presentation in Japanese with English subtitles.
こんにちは。デジタル医療と高齢化の未来に関するセッションへようこそ。このセッションのプレゼンターはライフスタイル医学と健康的な老化に情熱を実74歳の技術者、デイビッド・ウォートリー氏です。デビッドから紹介してほしいと頼まれました。話す機会をいただきありがとうございます。それは彼にとって大きな名誉であり特権です。
So you can see,
ご紹介するトピックスはこちらです。まず、高齢化社会の課題と治療から予防に焦点を移すことの重要性について見ていきます。生活習慣医学は健康老化に重要な役割を果たしますが、生活習慣医学とは何ですか？デビッドは英国ライフスタイル医学協会。
So I asked the audience what they thought of my Japanese, and I said, "That's very good." So that's one of the things about English people, which you may know. English people have a reputation, which is very deserved, that they don't learn any other languages because everyone around the world speaks English. And it's true. It's true. We are very lazy. I speak a little bit of Russian and I speak a bit of German and Italian, only because we had a Russian teacher at school, and I visited these countries in the past. But so we don't speak foreign languages. So we need all the help we can get from these kinds of technologies. And of course, today you have earphones that you can use, smart earphones, where you can talk in one language and you can have a conversation with another in real time. And you could be talking in Thai and I would hear the English translation straight away, which is great for building bridges between people. This is another example which is based on real world information about my health, and what I wanted to show was the idea of a digital twin health coach. Now, someone to interpret the data you get from a smartwatch, which has your heart rate, your steps, your general health, and take that information, and just like a normal coach or a doctor would advise you to take that information and deliver it in the form of a digital twin. So this is two digital twins taking the same data from my smartwatch to tell me about my health score. So the first one is a man, the second one is a woman.
Hi David, here's your weekly health check-in, 15 of the 21st of September 2025. Overall health score 70. You're doing fairly well, but there's room to strengthen your resilience. Think of this as a solid C+ grade. You're keeping steady, but a few tweaks could raise your scores.
Here's some advice for the week ahead. Sleep. Aim for a regular bedtime around 10 p.m. Try winding down with a non-digital routine, a book, calm music, or light stretching. Your body loves rhythm, and at 76, consistent sleep quality is as important as quantity.
And of course, it's all very good advice that I take religiously. So these are my thoughts on what's happening with AI from the perspective of being a human being. Artificial intelligence is the driving force behind the fifth industrial revolution, which is the most disruptive industrial revolution that we've ever had in the history of humanity. And if you know a little bit about the industrial revolutions in the past, you'll understand that the first industrial revolution, which really started in the UK, was brought about by mechanization and steam power. And what happened was the steam engine was invented, and people realized that they could use the technology to weave cloth, to make clothes, and in factories. Now, at the time, most of the people who made clothes worked from home. They had little cottages, so and they worked as family. So they had their whole life learning the skills and the trade to make the cloth, and suddenly here was the factories and the machines making them much faster and much cheaper. So their lives were destroyed, and it really was a revolution. People went to factories and they destroyed the machines that were taking their jobs, and people were actually hung and executed and thrown into prison because they were trying to fight against it, and they were known as the Luddites in those days. So it was a real problem. They had, rather like what's happening in America with ICE and the agents, the police going to, they were doing that in the 18th century to stop people destroying this revolution. Well, today, with AI, this is probably as disruptive and potentially dangerous as the very first industrial revolution, because a lot of people, possibly including some students in this room, they are learning, they are dedicating their life to learn medicine, to use the knowledge, not just medical people, but any knowledge professionals. What they are learning at university is likely to be out of date and overtaken by the time they leave university. So the jobs that they have trained for, many things will not be available. And so you can understand why this is a real problem for human beings. And so the knowledge workers are the people most affected by it. And I had a good friend who's a professor in Germany, who's an expert in AI, and he advises governments around the world about how they should structure education to be able to make the economy tailored to what's happening with technology. And the simple thing that he said was that you should be training people to use crafts, to be electricians or plumbers or decorators, where human beings with the use of their hands and their skill and their mind and relationships are able to compete with the technology. So it's a very sobering thought. But AI, like all the technologies that started revolutions, and is essentially a communications technology. It democratizes creativity, but it opens Pandora's box. Well, I don't know whether you know any Greek mythology. You know, I can see a nodding there, so you know Pandora's box. And in Greek mythology, it said with the gods, this was where before human beings had intelligence, the gods were looking down on earth, and Pandora wanted to give a spark to these creatures on earth, human beings, and that spark was intelligence. And Pandora's box had all of the ills and the problems of human beings: war, pestilence, famine. All of the bad things were inside this box, and Pandora was warned not to open the box. Well, she did open the box, and all of these things came out into the world that made the world the way it is today. And she shut the box very quickly, but there was one thing that was left inside the box, and that was hope. So Greek mythology, there is through Greek mythology the kind of an analogy with what's happening today, and I think AI is a little bit like Pandora's box. And as I mentioned earlier on, I think one of the problems is that it polarizes society. It makes people prejudiced. It makes people be opinionated and not tolerant, less empathetic towards other people. So it's a danger, and it can make you dependent, and it even can cause addiction, particularly against younger people. And one of the dangers that I don't really hear talked about was because you're reaching a global audience, it's generating more and more trade and commerce and consumption. So all of the we're using the planet's resources to make products that people are buying, and this is, why we have some of the problems with climate change. So looking at human beings and creativity, you can think of it like this. Creativity leads to technology innovation to solve problems, and technology innovation leads to disruption in society, which leads to growth and consumption, which again, because it creates challenges, leads to more creativity. So we're going round and round this circle, and you could say it's either a vicious circle or it's a virtuous circle. It's either going to be very good for human beings, it has the potential to do that, or very bad. So the big question, is AI our friend or is it our foe? And this is another flip book which I made to kind of illustrate that point. So this is really my story about how I started with technology, working with IBM, and it's in cartoon format. I won't go through that because it's not, it's a bit long, it's not really relevant. So this is why I need a creative friend. That's my state of my creativity. I can draw pin men So that's, and even then I have to use PowerPoint tools to make the circle. You know, I draw a squiggly line and it turns it into a circle for me. So there's a game that we used to play called Pictionary, where you have teams and you're given something to draw, and you have to draw it, and then your team has to guess what you've drawn. Nobody ever wants me in their team because they can't recognize anything that I've drawn. So when AI and creativity, it's kind of paradoxical. It can be your best friend, but it can also be your worst enemy. And does it damage human creativity? Well, research done by the MIT lab suggests that if we become too reliant on artificial intelligence, it might actually have an effect on our brains and reduce our ability to think through cognitive offloading. But the other thing that I personally think is worthy of research is that has technology changed our brains, the way our brains are wired? Because when in the prehistoric times, human beings built society, the men were hunters and the women were gatherers. So men, to survive, men had to be really focused on the animal that they were trying to hunt. So they did develop the skills for focusing on science or concentration. And that's why men tended to be scientists. They were solving problems all the time, whereas the women were gatherers. They were socializing. They were empathetic. They talked to each other. And we still see the same today, as women are much more empathetic than men. But I can see that this is changing. I think that men don't have to hunt anymore. So men are becoming, I would say, more like women. They're becoming more empathetic. They have to do that, except for those people who are bullies, who have to use their strength to dominate women. And when I was coming here, I was in the departure lounge at Kuala Lumpur airport, and there were a group of Malaysian women who were all gathered together, and they were sat on the floor. Some of them were sat on chairs, and I noticed how they were all talking to each other. You would never find men doing that. No, I was sat there on my own, just in my own little world, thinking about things. So there are still these differences between men and women, but I think that the world today is really rewiring our brains, and there's a lot of evidence to show that. And so you could argue that it doesn't damage human creativity because our basic instinct for survival means that whenever we are faced with a challenge, human beings are at their best when they have a problem to solve. So sadly, we have more and more problems to solve today. But these problems can catalyze human creativity. And this is what people say about climate change. And a lot of people say we don't need to worry about climate change because we are intelligent human beings and we will find a way. We will find a way of protecting the earth, whether it's solar panels, wind power, or whatever it is, human beings will find a way. I won't ask you to read this, but there are different academic people who are all giving warnings about the potential impact of AI, the things that we need to worry about. And in my own view, I think AI has a lot in common with nuclear technology in the way in which it's catalyzing energy, which can be quite dangerous, and it can either be harnessed for good, for power and light, as nuclear technology is, or if it's not controlled, it could finish up destroying the human race. So I call it societal fission or fusion. So how do we stop AI destroying humanity? Well, we had examples earlier on today, and I've had examples in my own life. Probably the most recent example that gave me an insight into how you stop AI destroying humanity was when I was giving talks like this on a cruise ship. I was on a cruise ship from Dubai to Singapore, 21 nights. And when you're at sea, internet is very poor. It's non-existent. But I need the internet to make my presentations up to date because I take information at the time and I revise my presentation. But because the internet was so poor, I had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was working for 3 and 4 hours to do what I could do in 5 or 10 minutes at home. So the answer is, sorry, no internet today. If you didn't have the internet, if we didn't have this connectivity, we wouldn't be able to do the things which are essentially not only a source of good, but a source of potential problem. So to summarize, these are the points that I've been through before. I won't go over them again, but potentially AI is a threat to the future of humanity. So when we look to the future, the young generation and the students in this room, people being born today, they are our future. And will they place their faith into the all-seeing, all-knowing, omnipotent mobile phone, which knows everything about you, or will they become humans and have faith in a God, if you want to call it that way, or whatever faith you believe in, rather than technology. I did make this. It's an animated video, so I used it one of the tools on my smartphone to make a song about. It's called Journey's End, but it's about the future and being aware. So I created the song, and I used it to get this AI created lady to dance to the song. So I'll just play it. This is the end of my presentation.
As a child, I rode a dinosaur, but I never took a real one for a ride. Like all the other kids, I just had to sit and watch them do it. Maybe if I'd been born today. Oh, David, look at what you've become in this new age of AI. You're not the only one. No, you've got to let them know there's more to this than the camera, more than the youth can understand. They said the internet would kill us all. They said it wasn't art, it wasn't music. We went ahead and did it, so what did they know? What do they know now? When you made them $1 million, did they thank you? No, they tried to make another one of you. So maybe, just maybe, if you had been born today. Oh, David, look at what you've become in this new age of AI. You're not the only one. No, you've got to let them know there's more to this camera, more than the youth can understand. But now you say there's more to life than work. You've got a baby on the way, maybe that's how it works. No, I have to let them know there's more to this than the camera, more than the youth can understand.
So that's the end of my presentation. But before I invite any questions for you, I just want to show you something to, well, give you a chance to a glimpse of the future, maybe, if you're involved in medicine. This is an AI virtual health center. So this is my, if you like, my AI generated clinic. This is a website. It was built as a proof of concept, and it's staffed by virtual doctors, and no real doctors, but it's open 24/7. And I have a number of specialist consultants. I'm going to introduce you to them in a minute, working in this health center, and you can ask them questions anytime, night or day, and they will give you advice. I'm not a medical professional, but I'm included in the clinic to give advice on lifestyle medicine. There are blogs, there are videos you can watch. So I'll just give you a glimpse of what's in this centre. So this is the British Society of Lifestyle Medicine that I'm associated with. And here's my team. So I've got a general physician, I've got a family doctor, a paediatrician. On lifestyle and preventative healthcare, I've got a dietitian, nutritionist, trainer, physiotherapist, mental health therapist. I've got a cardiologist, a neurologist, an orthopedic doctor. And if I view more, I see some of the others in my team. A diabetologist, genetic counsellor, gynecologist, pregnancy guide, AI urologist, dermatologist, hair and scalp specialist, dentist, eye specialist, and there I am, lifestyle medicine, wearable technologies, corporate health. So I'm going to risk being very embarrassed by this. Would one of you like to ask one of my team a question? Anyone? Any volunteers to choose one of my specialists? Don't choose me. Choose one of my specialists. Who would you like to speak to? Ask a question on. Any volunteers? Sorry?
About the cardiologist. You have cardiologists, right? You have cardiologists? Yeah. No, you say you. Yeah, not you, but the cardiology doctor. Yeah. I'd like to know about TAVI, T-A-V-I. I'd like to know about TAVI, transcatheter valve implantation. It's one of the treatment for aortic valve stenosis. You can just say TAVI. Yeah, see what they say.
Sorry. So this is an AI-generated answer, and that you should consult a human being. So is there anything specific you want to know about?
Which patient is appropriate for this treatment? Which patient will be appropriate for this? Yeah, yeah.
The text is a little bit small, so I will read it. Transcatheter aortic valve implementation is a minimally invasive procedure used to treat severe aortic stenosis in patients who are considered high risk or ineligible for traditional open heart surgery. The following characteristics may make a patient a suitable candidate for TAVI. Severe symptomatic aortic stenosis, narrowing of the aortic valve, intermediate to high surgical risk, as determined by a heart team, older age or significant comorbidities that increase the risk associated with open heart surgery, suitable anatomy of the aortic valve and blood vessels for TAVI, good life expectancy and quality of the life following the procedure. Ultimately, the decision for TAVI should be made by a heart team, including cardiologists, cardiothoracic surgeons, and other specialists, after a thorough evaluation of the patient's overall health and individual risk factors. It is essential to consult with a qualified cardiologist or cardiac surgeon for a comprehensive evaluation or personalised treatment plan. If you have any specific questions or concerns regarding TAVI or any other cardiac procedure, please consult a healthcare provider for guidance tailored to your individual situation. Was that a good answer? Was that a good answer?
It is a general answer. I asked the same questions to like other platform of AI, and they also give the same. Or maybe
yeah, exactly. It would give hopefully it would give the same answer. But you see, I suppose the difference is that this is specialized towards healthcare, and it's possibly more accessible than just asking AI the question. It feels more like a clinic or a surgery. Let me just
excuse me. What if I ask the same questions to the different subspecialty? How would they respond? But the same questions, but maybe you ask the gynecology, how would he respond?
I will copy and paste the question. So, Have you any preference which doctor you'd like to ask?
About psychology or yeah.
Psychology or psychiatrist, just a second. I'll use a neurologist if that's all right.
Yeah, sure.
Right, she doesn't know what what TAVI is, so she doesn't give the same answer. So she recognises it's not a specialist field, which I think is probably a good thing. So I just go back to the main menu, and I'll just show you some of the other things that are in here because I'm not an expert, but I know from lived experience a little bit about lifestyle medicine. So the blogs and the videos that you'll see in my health centre. Oh, it's telling me my internet connection is unstable. So, but there are a series of blogs about recent news, and you can see that well, you may be able to see, but a lot of the blogs are as recent as December last year, and with videos, there are videos that are focused around lifestyle medicine and preventative health care that you can see, as well as being able to access all of the information I showed you. And you can also go to information about 360 and 360 AI. But I'll go back to the home page. Now, what I wanted to ask all of you, and maybe I'll those of you who I've already told this, you can't answer this question. So I'm going to ask you the question, and the person who gets an answer nearest to it will get a copy of my book. Okay, so are you ready? Now, the question I want to ask is, how long did it take me to create my virtual healthcare centre with all of the contact, everything that you see there? How long do you think it took? Any guesses?
3 hours. 3 hours.
3 hours. Any other guesses?
1 week.
Any other guesses? He thinks I created all of this in an hour. Another one?
1 month.
1 month. Well, a gentleman there probably has got. He probably has done something similar. It took me 4 hours. Everything that you see there, all of that was done in 4 hours. And so I really didn't have to do very much other than brand it with my own logo and my own personalization. So all the work involved was the personalization part of it and telling it what I as one of the virtual doctors was interested in. But all of the content, everything was AI generated, and that platform, as you see it, was done in about 4 hours. So that gives you an idea, and it's not just in healthcare. I mean, healthcare, this is a healthcare example, but the same is true. I've seen a company advertises something very similar to make your own virtual university with professors, your own virtual tour agent, which can book real-life holidays and earn you money, and booking real-life holidays done in using exactly the same kinds of technologies. So give this man a round of applause.
Do you have the signature on the?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, thank you.
So you can see that the world is rapidly changing. Now, there's lots of other things that I can do and show you, but would you like to see how I started by showing you an example of me as a baby, and there was a picture of my house. Would you like to see how that is done? Would you like to see the program, or is there anything else you would like to see, or ask any questions? Okay, well, I will show you the program, because this morning, like I do whenever I go anywhere in the world, I take a 360-degree camera with me, and I take photographs with this panoramic camera. I've been doing it for about 7 years. So if you go onto Google Maps, I have over 23,000 photographs from around the world on Google Maps. So you can see in virtual reality the places that I've been to, and they've had 190 million views. So today, when we were walking around the museum, I took a load of panoramic photographs, and I put them into the program that I will just show you now. Okay, so this is the program. I've already transferred the pictures, the panoramic pictures. So there's quite a library of pictures. You may be able to pick out something, but I have a particular love of steam trains, so I will load that one up first. Okay, so that is the steam locomotive that you have, and if you've got a virtual reality headset, you can see all around that. So all of the photographs that I took today have gone into this library, and what I can do in this program is to set the starting point for when people go into this virtual world. You can set a particular view as an initial starting point just by clicking on that, and then you can add in hotspots around there. So, and you can choose the type of hotspot. This is just a quick drag and drop, just a little tutorial. But you can choose a type of hotspot. So it might be you want to insert a video, a picture or a photograph, or a video or some text, or use this polygon to create a hotspot that when you click on it, it goes to a certain point. So I will close this one down now because I want to show you. Let me just open the one with I will close this one down and close this program down and go into the program again, and then I will show you what a completed tour looks like. So So this is the tour that I showed you right at the very beginning. So in its library, it contains not only the panoramic picture of my house, but here are all the media objects. So these are all of the bits of video and animation that I put into my living room. So if I double click on that, so here you can. This is what my room actually looks like. So there are no pictures on the wall in real life. All of those are hotspots. So now you can actually see the hotspots that I created, and so I can choose. If I click on this is just a text hotspot which doesn't do anything, but if I click on this hotspot, it's a video, and what I've done is I've added an action, and the action is to open this information window. If I double click on that, what that does is bring up the video and allow me to put in the text that goes with that picture. So I could make a virtual tour of your museum, and I could do exactly the same and animate the pictures and do various things from within your museum, and that's something that I do, and you can see many examples of such a thing on my website, including a virtual tour of a hospital in China. So I was a guest at the launch of a new hospital in Guizhou, and I made, whilst I was there, I took a load of panoramic shots and I turned it into a video, which, if for anybody wanting to visit the hospital, will give them a good idea of how the hospital is laid out, and it will show videos from the president of the hospital, lots of other information that people might find useful when they're coming to the hospital as a kind of guide to the hospital. But I've many more programs. I'll just show you one of them that I use quite a lot now. It's called Clone Voice AI, and so I'm going to perhaps just try a little example here, just as to show you how that it works. If I go to my podcasts, so this is how I create the podcasts. So if I wanted to create a new podcast, I can choose whatever language that it goes in. Is there a can you give me the URL of Mahidol University? Is it mahidol.ac.th? Yeah. So I put in the name of the website. What I'm going to do is to do a podcast, me interviewing somebody, an avatar, about Mahidol University. So first thing I do is I select who's going to be in the podcast. So I select the speaker. So I have a wide range of speakers to choose from, but I'll just go for the clone speakers. And so all of these, Sunil is Dr. Sunil Chopra. Some of these are my friends. The Oxford English one is William Shakespeare, one that I created there. And I've also impersonated a French accent. But let's choose the one that I normally use. and I'm going to select another voice for the person to interview. And well, I'll select a system one, and I can listen to what the voices sound like.
Hey, this is what I sound like. You can use me for narration, videos, or any
Hey, this is what I sound like. You can use me for narration, videos, or any project you imagine.
So just for the sake of argument, I will choose Elena. I'll give him a real name. Excuse my slow typing. So what I wanted to do is to interview Elena about Mahidol University and the history of Mahidol University. So I say, okay, this is a podcast interview between host David and Elena, who is a professor at Mahidol University. In Thailand. The podcast is about Mahidol University history and what is offered at the medical school. Okay, so I'm interviewing Elena about Mahidol, and I'm asking her about the history, and also now I have to agree to the terms of service. This means that there is protection from using it in a bad way to impersonate people or have them saying things that they wouldn't agree to, and that's part of it. So I'm creating this podcast now. So what it will do is it will look at the Mahidol website and try and find as much information as possible about Mahidol, and then it will create this fictional interview between myself and Elena, and it will come up with a script. Here we are. So I'll just read it first. So it's basically a conversation between me and Elena, and I can go in, and if I don't like what it's saying, I can go in and edit it. And it goes through the story from 1917. Okay, let me generate the podcast. So it takes a little while for it to create the podcast, but when it's finished processing, what it will provide me with is an audio file at the bottom based on this interview. So once it's processing, I've no idea how long it will take. Sometimes it takes just a few minutes. It can take longer if it's really complicated. Has anybody got any other questions they want to ask? Anything else they would like to see? Yeah? Yes?
Maybe something about the movie that may be easy to interpret. I just accidentally watched the movie called Ex Machina yesterday. Have you ever watched this movie?
Sorry, which movie?
Ex Machina.
No, I haven't. But I understand the. I think I understand the story. Is it Deus ex machina? Yeah, it's God from machine. Yeah. Yes, that's a little bit really about something similar to what's in my book, particularly the last chapter where I essentially talk about more philosophical aspects of that, including why, in a way, we are creating this God with AI, and there's some speculation in there, and one of the bits of, if you like, parallels or speculation is to do with the Bible. There's actually a couple of things about the Bible, and so I suggest that the story of Adam and Eve in the Bible, and ironically, the source, God told Adam not to eat the apple. I think apple is a bit ironic, using the word apple, a bit ironic when you're talking about AI. But in the Bible, God said you mustn't eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And that is what AI is giving us. AI and the internet are giving us the knowledge of good and evil. And what happened in the Bible was that human beings were thrown out of the Garden of Eden. And so that was the start of mankind's problems. It's a figure, a metaphor, if you like, but it's a kind of metaphorical example. You could translate that story into what's happening with AI. We are being given access to the tree of knowledge of all good and evil, and in the case of the Bible, because Adam and Eve were ignorant, they had everything they needed in the Garden of Eden, but suddenly they became aware that they were naked and they had to start clothes, and that was the start of mankind's problem. And I think that there are other things in the Bible, and again, it's not, my book's not a religious book, but if you think about some of the stories in the Bible, God, as one story, the God became very angry with the way the world was going, and so he put a spell on human beings so that they all spoke different languages. They couldn't communicate with each other, and in a way, the World Trade Tower was full of people from different parts of the world, and it was destroyed in the bombing of 9/11. And I sometimes wonder, again, I'm just a flight of fancy, really, but I sometimes wonder whether the Old Testament is not about the past and what happened in the past. It's about the future. It's a narrative and a parallel of what could happen to human beings, in over time. And the New Testament is maybe what is happening now. Do you see what I mean? Lots of parallels in it. Anyway, it's completed the podcast, so I will just play it.
Welcome everyone to Global Classrooms, your weekly deep dive into the world's most fascinating educational institutions. Today we're taking a virtual trip to the heart of Thailand, to Mahidol University, and I couldn't be more thrilled to introduce our guest, Professor Elena, from Mahidol University herself. Elena, thank you so much for joining us.
David, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share a little bit about Mahidol with your listeners.
Mahidol University, it's such a prestigious name, especially in Asia, but I think for many outside the region, the history might not be as well known. Could you start by taking us back to its very beginnings? How did it all start?
Absolutely. Mahidol's story is really quite remarkable, and it's deeply intertwined with the history of modern medicine in Thailand. It wasn't always called Mahidol University, you know. It actually began way back in 1888, established by His Majesty King Chulalongkorn, or Rama V, as Thailand's very first medical school. It was initially known as the Siriraj Hospital Medical School. Imagine starting medicine in that era.
Wow, 1888. That's incredibly old for any institution, let alone one in Southeast Asia. So it started as Siriraj.
One of the things about this program is it does get my guests to talk quite a lot faster than
in 1917, it became the
natural,
University
right?
of Medical Sciences.
When I make the
But
video,
the
I
truly
have to
pivotal
slow
moment,
their bits
and where
down.
it gets its current name, came in cultural context. It's about combining global best practices with local relevance.
That sounds
This is
incredibly
bringing up to date.
comprehensive and truly prepares doctors for the real world, both locally and globally. Are there any unique programs or initiatives within the medical school that you're particularly proud of?
Oh, absolutely. Both faculties have innovative programs. Siriraj, for instance, has a very strong focus on translational research, bridging the gap between basic science and clinical application. They've been pioneers in areas like organ transplantation and advanced surgical techniques. Ramati Bodhi, on the other hand, is a leader in medical education innovation, using simulation-based training extensively. They also have a very active international student exchange program, fostering global perspectives among their students. Plus, the Faculty of Tropical Medicine at Mahidol is world-renowned. It's a distinct faculty, but its work is intrinsically linked to understanding and combating diseases prevalent in our region, and its research has global implications.
Ah, the Faculty of Tropical Medicine. I've heard incredible things about it. So it's not just the two main medical faculties, but a whole ecosystem of health sciences at Mahidol, isn't it?
Exactly, David. That's the beauty of Mahidol. Beyond Siriraj and Ramati Bodhi, we have faculties like dentistry, pharmacy, public health, nursing, medical technology, physical therapy, and allied health sciences. This broad spectrum allows for incredible interdisciplinary collaboration. A medical student isn't just learning from doctors. They might interact with pharmacists, public health experts, or even medical engineers, which really enriches their understanding of the entire healthcare system. It's a true health sciences hub.
That cross-pollination of ideas must be incredibly valuable.
I think you get the idea. I mean, what did you think of that? Is it accurate?
Yeah, it's very nice. But you still have to rely on the software that is already available for your use, and you have to pay for the service, right?
Sorry, what I will try and do then is I will make that into a podcast video with myself talking, and I will slow the dialogue down so that it's more legible, and then I will send it to my friend. Yeah, I will send it to Kay, and she can share it with you. And if you want something, something different, something in Thai, then I can do the same in Thai, and there are if I go to the create audio option, I can translate from one language to another with this, so I can take text and translate it into any other language.
But I have some other questions about technical.
All right, another question.
Yes, from your IBM experience, actually. So I would like to ask the question like, what is the true artificial intelligence? In terms that we have the speed of the computation now very fast, and we have a big memory size now, but why we still cannot have the true AI?
You mean the fact that AI requires all of this, the power and energy? So what do you do when you haven't got?
I mean, we still do not have the true artificial intelligence that pass the Turing test. Turing test, right? Yeah. So to have the mind that with, I mean, the AI that have the efficiency close to human brain, that can have a self-awareness and think the way human do.
I think it's funny the way I've seen AI evolve in a way that it thinks. One of the things that I've noticed is because I use ChatGPT quite a lot, and I've learnt. I mean, it responds to me like a friend. It really, it talks to me. It addresses me as David, and it says things like, "Well, that's really good, David. You've got on the right idea. Well, maybe you could try this, or can I do this for you?" It is like a really I mean, this is why they use the term co-pilot. I think is because it's developing that kind of human relationship, or trying to do that. And I found it very useful, and at the moment I'm doing a webinar tomorrow night, but I'll be doing that from Kuala Lumpur, flying back to Kuala Lumpur tomorrow. But the person who is doing the presentation, one of the consultants, he's a psychodermatologist, as I mentioned to you, and he's going to talk about the connection between the brain and skin problems. He's not a very good speaker, but he does, and he's not very good at designing slides. So he sent me a set of 20 slides, and I got them this morning at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And so what I had to do was to convert all of his slides into if you like, a corporate format, so they look really professional. And that was all me. I had to do pretty much all of that manually, setting the background of the slides, changing the text. So AI couldn't really help me with that. But then what I wanted to do was to use the clone voice to deliver his presentation for him, but I needed to get the script written, and so I learned from experience over the last couple of weeks when I first tried it, the best way to approach that, and so I upload each individual slide. And I ask AI to write a script for that slide in a human conversational style. But I only need to do that once. I tell AI, I want to do this for the whole presentation. So I upload a slide, and literally within 3 or 4 seconds, it's analysed the slide, and it's given me a very humanistic dialogue to go with that slide. So it's interpreted the data, but then it comes back to me and it says, "This is great. This is great. This is a great slide for introducing your presentation. Send me the next one." So I send the next one, and it comes up, "Yeah, maybe you need to do this a little bit more slowly." It's just like talking to a human being. So for me, I couldn't do the things that I do without this help. But I'm very aware of the danger that I'm becoming too reliant on it. And so it is. But it is. It does. It seems to have changed, got to know me. How can I say? So it's got to know me. It knows a lot about me. So when I ask it to do something for my own presentations, or maybe my own website, or or putting a proposal together, it it knows so much about me. It knows a bit about my personality, and it creates it in that style and gives me advice like a friend, like a friend would do. Any other questions?
Yes, quick question. Perhaps it would relate to your previous answer. You mentioned about the danger using AI. And for us human, we tend to have invention that come before precaution. Invent cars before we invent seatbelts. Invent nuclear power before we invent how to contain them. In terms of AI, what is your suggestion in terms of how do we go about pushing the discourse of how we should catch up and perhaps come up with a precaution that protects us from the potential danger while also exploring it to its best potential?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I think what you said is very true. We, as human beings, we've invented a lot of things because it's solved a particular problem, and if there is a downside to it, we're not sure how to prevent that downside. Now, in the case of nuclear power, nuclear energy, its origins, come from the atomic bomb. It's exactly the same kind of process that goes on in an atomic reactor that gives heat and light as in an atomic bomb. And the atomic bomb was developed to basically finish the World War II with the Japanese, to get the Japanese to surrender. And I don't know in the timeline when people began to realize that you could harness this power through water cooling and develop techniques to do that. But so I think AI is very similar in that sense, that we've invented something to solve a particular challenge. In other words, to empower ourselves, like every other technology, like steam power, like telegraph. All of these things were somebody's idea that if only we could do this. Electricity, everything was done in this way. They come up with a dream and a vision, and they invent it because sometimes initially they invent it because they think it's going to be the good of mankind. Sometimes they invent it because they can see the commercial potential in it, and they want to make money from it. The problem with AI, and this is the real big difference between AI, say, and steam power, and the difference is this democratization of technology, that it's available to everyone. Now, the atomic bomb deterrence worked because the United Nations or the global powers realized that it got the potential to destroy mankind. So they reached an agreement that there would only be the major powers that would have atomic bombs. It's to stop. They couldn't put it in the hands of everybody. But just you imagine if you knew how to make an atomic bomb, and anybody in their bedroom can make an atomic bomb, what would be the implications of that? There's already some problems with what's called IEDs. Now, IED, improvised explosive devices. So these are bombs that people can make in their bedroom, and the internet provides access to the information on how to make these bombs. And that's what's led to what's called asymmetric warfare. It's called asymmetric because a terrorist working in their bedroom can cause severe disruptions to armies that have far more power than they do. So, this is why terrorists are planting bombs, because they don't have the money or the access, but they can cause terrible disruption by having the knowledge to be able to do these things. With the AI, I think the real danger is because it is so accessible to everybody of any age, of any mentality. So it's accessible to good people, it's accessible to bad people. And if bad people want to find a way of doing serious damage, they've got all the tools at their disposal. They can create stuff which can influence people, and they can create stuff which be used in cyber warfare. And the fact is that we are all, because it is so attractive, we are all inclined to use it because it makes our lives easier. So when you're in that situation where something is really accessible, how do you stop it? It's like Pandora's box. It's been opened. You can't uninvent the internet. You can't uninvent 5G. There are regimes in the world, like Iran, for example, who find a way by blocking internet access. So you cannot get access to the internet. It's the same, we have a guy in the UK called Sir Stephen Fry, who is actually an actor and a comedian, but he's a very intelligent, philosophical man, and he's spoken and he's written a lot about the dangers of AI, and that's where the Pandora's box analogy comes from. But I saw one of his presentations in London, and he said, I'm going to play this bit of audio, and it's an audio about German history, and it's about the rise of the Nazis. And he said, I want you to listen to it, and I want you to tell me which voice is me and which voice is an AI version of me. So it played it, and everybody said, well, that's you. Nobody could really answer him, and he said, none of it is me. That's somebody who took my voice and they made it use it to make a documentary. And he said, I was very angry with my agent that this had happened. So there's lots of damage that can be done, and I don't know how you can. I really don't know how you can stop it. But the other thing is, and I say I am not a politician. I'm not political, but I've been fascinated recently by what's happening in America with Donald Trump, and in particular in Minnesota. And the killing, you've probably seen it on television, the woman who was shot in her car, and the man more recently who was shot in the street because he was trying to help a woman who'd fallen over. And it's very clear from the videos, and you see it from all different angles, it's very clear that the ICE agents murdered these people. They weren't any kind of threat to them at all. But you hear Donald Trump, you hear his spokespeople saying they were under threat and they responded by the way they've been trained. So they tell you, they try to make you believe something which isn't true, and they keep repeating it even when the evidence is obvious. And it's almost a feeling of helplessness in America. You know, if people speak out about this, but you know, the fear for me anyway, certainly in America, is you're seeing basically the world being divided between superpowers like America, Russia, and China, and Europe is being deliberately, if you like, fragmented because it isn't one nation. There are many different countries, all speak different languages, have all different cultures, and it's as if the superpowers are trying to become authoritarian dictatorships. And it would not surprise me if Donald Trump didn't invoke the Insurrection Act to stop the next elections, which the midterm elections, which are due later this year, because I think you know, there's a growing feeling in America that they're not liking what's happening. So he will find ways of getting around that, because I don't think he's a man with any kind of morals. You know, this anyway. Sorry to be political. We've come to 4 o'clock, so you know, I'm happy to have a chat with any of you afterwards. I really hope that you found some useful information in amongst all of the other stuff that I've been talking about. As I said, I not only wanted to show you what is possible and what is happening today, but also to stress on you, like your Thai king, the example that I showed, is the importance of being human beings and recognizing that and preserve our human values. Thank you.
Thank you, David Wortley, to help me to conclude the sessions as well. On behalf of Siriraj Health Science Education Excellence Center, I would like to say that I hope that in the future, maybe you and she may have some kind of collaboration in the future as well, as according to some kind of the student who approached you already before the sessions and other lecturers who are working with the AI as well. I think that maybe in the future, other people also welcome to join. And I think David also happy to work with you as well. Thank you very much, David. And may I switch to the Thai sections? For Pearls in Medical Education นะคะ ครั้งถัดไปนะคะ8 เมษายนหัวข้อทำอย่างไรเมื่อนักศึกษาหมดใจและอาจารย์หมดไฟนะคะก็ใครที่ใกล้หมดก็มาเติมกันได้นะคะเป็นวิทยากรจะเป็นท่านผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์นายแพทย์พนมเกตมานะคะอาจารย์ดำรงตำแหน่งเป็นที่ปรึกษางานกิจการนักศึกษาของคณะแพทยศาสตร์ศิริราชพยาบาลนะคะสำหรับผู้ที่มาออนไซต์สามารถเก็บ CPD กับ CMP ได้นะคะขอบคุณทุกท่านมากค่ะและเรียนเชิญทุกท่านที่อยู่ในห้องวันนี้ถ่ายรูปร่วมกันสักรูปนะคะค่ะสวัสดีค่ะขอบคุณสถานเทคโนแล้วก็ทีมงานชีด้วยค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ